Hey there, my name is Alex, I am the Silver Mont, and in this video we're going to be looking at Elden Ring Nightreign, which just came out about a week ago. Disclaimer, I received a review code for this product from Bandai Namco. I'll preface this by saying, if you haven't any idea what Elden Ring is, I'm not going to go over that in this video. Go look at my Elden Ring review. So, I'll be going forward with the knowledge that you are familiar with Elden Ring as a game, which is apt, as the developers of this game have also assumed you are familiar with Elden Ring and roguelites and the idea of well, not an extraction shooter, but a shrinking circle map thing. What do we even call those games? But yeah, in essence, Nightreign is a roguelite, or maybe a roguelike. Those are not my genre specialities, so I don't really know the exact definitions, but I believe Nightreign is more of a light than a like. So what this means is that you will select a mission, spend around 30 minutes walking around the map, upgrading your character to prepare for the final confrontation with a big boss. You die, you lose everything, but you do get some progress towards permanent goals. For example, you get a currency that you can spend at a shop in the hub, and you also unlock relics, which are things you can equip to your character to give them permanent boosts. Whereas Elden Ring had you making your character, Nightreign gives us preset characters, which is extremely exciting in some ways. Do you remember the Dark Souls demo from, I think, E3 2011, where you played as in-game characters? The game started up and you would pick the Black Knight, Solaire, and so on, and some game journalists thought that was how the whole game was going to be, but no, that's just how FromSoft kind of do their demos. Like for Dark Souls 2, they had the swordsman character that was basically straight of a Lapis, but dual-wielding. And, you know, that's not how the game works. You make your character, but for the sake of a demo, they give you presets. Anyway, they finally introduced that as an actual game concept. Each character has affinities for certain weapons, and they all fit a certain sort of archetype. More importantly, though, they also have passives and active abilities, including very powerful ultimate abilities. So as a concept, this has actually been around with the Souls franchise for a long time, but actually being used in the final game, brand new, as are the abilities. The characters at launch are distinct. Wilder, whatever his name is, I'll call him Wilder, has a grappling hook which he can use to zip around, and he also has an ultimate which explodes dudes. He's great. He's a weapon expert character who's a great beginner choice because you can aptly use just about any weapon you pick up. Although it's worth pointing out that just about everyone can use every weapon, they just have different levels of scaling and proficiency with them, you might say. But then we have the Guardian, bird up tank who specializes in polearms and great shields, has the ability to knock up enemies because he's into that, and also has a fantastic ult that can revive the team, as well as doing damage over a huge area. The Raider is the big weapon kind of guy, the bandit from Dark Souls. He punches and he makes a big rock. That sounds silly, but it's really good. Then we've Iron Eye, my character of choice so far. An archer who can dash and mark enemies, shoot them with arrows, and shoot them with a really big arrow for his ult. Next up is the Recluse, a magic-using witch who absorbs tri-elements from enemies and uses different spells depending on the combination of her cocktail, and her ult is to curse enemies, so upon attacking them, the team restores health. She can also restore FP, like mana, when she absorbs elements. Next up is the Executor? The Executor? A character who uses a cursed katana to enter a special stance, where they shadows die twice parry, pretty much, and their ult is unleashing their persona to become a beast and slap things for a few moments. Then the Duchess. Think the thief, rogue, spellblade sort. Insane dodges, a rewind time ability to repeat an instance of damage, so you can critical an enemy, then use your skill to basically critical them again, with an ult that allows her to hide, great for helping out the team or repositioning. Finally, the Revenant, a little ghost lady who can passively sometimes summon dead enemies as allies. She has her own sort of summoned family that she can use to attack people with, and her ult makes the team temporarily unkillable and revives the fallen. The most exciting of these, for me, are the Archer, the Mage, and the Summoner, Iron Eye, Recluse, and the Revenant, as they demonstrate new playstyles for the franchise. Archery's never been good, let's face it, neither's magic. Sure, some magic spells have been really strong, but magic as a playstyle has just been press button, shoot arrow. Whether it's a wooden arrow or a laser arrow, all the spells were basically arrows, or an AoE explosion, and that was about it. You could beat the game using just archery, but it would be an exercise in how much you hate yourself and hate having fun. Or if you're one of those insane people who just, do those challenges like, oh, I beat Elden Ring by sniffing different aromas people sprayed at me, and assigning different perfumes for each button, whilst blindfolded. Generally speaking though, archery and magic have been supplemental, never a main playstyle, which has always been focused on melee. I is a lot of fun to play, and one of the reasons people seem to consider him one of the best characters at the moment is because these games aren't really designed around that kind of playstyle, so he wrecks face. He's able to deliver very consistent damage from a relative safety. He isn't completely busted and broken, but you can see how he takes advantage of the game mechanics. Recluse's magic cocktail system is fun, and in general these two show us what could come next in the Souls franchise to diversify playstyles. But either way, it's nice to have magic and archery fleshed out. This has always been something that Dragon's Dogma, for example, excelled at. Varied playstyles. The archer in Dragon's Dogma felt like an archer. It wasn't like it was a melee class that can also shoot an arrow, Souls games have kinda just been R1 spam and roll, so having something to mix it up and just give you something new is fantastic. The character balance does need some work though. I haven't mastered this game by any means, I haven't even mastered a single class, but to my eye, the Guardian and the Recluse need a bit of tweaking to make them stronger. Probably some of the other classes do as well. I feels great, where he should be. I think so too with Wilder and the Raider. Some of the others maybe need slight boosts, but again, sometimes it's hard to say because you might just need to get more used to them, and other classes have a higher skill ceiling than others, you might say. Take the Executor. I haven't really played him much yet, but at first glance, he seems like someone who relies on parrying a lot. And if you are not good at parrying, then obviously the character's not going to be so effective. That sort of thing. That's fine, having a high skill ceiling character, but the Recluse just feels like you need to work 5 times harder just to reach a base level that the others can easily manage. But yes, in general I would say buff the weaker ones, don't nerf the stronger ones. On that note, Nightreign is hard. I've got hundreds and hundreds of hours in Elden Ring. I'm not exactly breezing through this. The first boss took me 2, maybe 3 attempts to defeat. The time limits are strict, the enemies hit hard, the mega bosses are pretty intense. Playing this game solo is doable, but somewhat ridiculous, and definitely not the intended way to play. That said, they did actually just patch it last night or something, and I'm obviously recording this a few days before the video goes out. But they did make the solo experience a bit better by giving you a free revive and stuff. Even so, it's not really the sort of game I would suggest buying or playing for solo. It's definitely designed around multiplayer. And the co-op experience is satisfying, and I love how it feels like we have more teamwork at play. Teamwork is just so satisfying in games, and in other situations too. It's easy to get it going in a game. Co-op Souls games have always been fun, but not really much in the way of teamwork, because usually it's just you and your summons dogpile the enemies and R1 spam them to death. It feels a little more structured, with teamwork incentive design basically, with the different synergies between the characters, and I love that. Because again, at high level Elden Ring, everyone is just kind of multi-spect god who has, dual-wielding colossal weapons and has every single spell. Yeah, it's the highlight here in Nightreign, where everyone has more of a specific role. It's not like I is suddenly going to start tanking the boss. Well, maybe. But the map feels good to traverse most of the time, with big jumps, super sprint taking the place of torrent, and you can kind of clamber up ledges and stuff now, which, nice if we think back to Dark Souls 2, where we were prevented from basically reaching the end of the game by a knee-high wall. Do you remember in Demon Souls there was 2 ledges in the game you could clamber up, or mantle? How strange. But what about the not so good? Well, matchmaking is buggered. I was unable to play at all with my friend, as we couldn't find a random third player, no matter what we did, and we spent hours doing this. We would look online, people say, oh, try this, try that, yet nothing worked. At the end, we had to download the Duo mod just to play together. It's a hilariously silly oversight that at no point in development did a single person on the team go, hey, what if we had solo, duo, and trios? It boggles the mind they never thought of that. They have said, again this morning in fact, that they are going to put in duos at some point, and yeah, I'm just going by what it was at launch, and it shouldn't have launched in that state. It shouldn't have launched with matchmaking not working, and as of right now, the Monday after release, it still doesn't work, the matchmaking. You can do it solo, unless you're in like a remembrance mission, but if you have one friend and then you want to find a random for the third player, nope. It's disappointing and unacceptable to me that these issues are here when they had a network test. Maybe they had two, I don't remember. There's no excuse whatsoever. Hopefully it all gets patched and sorted out, but it's worth pointing out because that's the state the game launched in and that's what I'm reviewing right now. I'm not reviewing potential games, right? This is why you shouldn't launch a game on a Friday, because if it's broken on the weekend and all your developers are not there because it's the weekend, it's just a bad launch, you know? Well, these aren't really objective issues, but more how the game is intentionally designed. All the rushing and stuff, it's not my kind of thing. I love to ponderously waddle around the beautiful world of Elden Ring, and I can still do that in the main game, right? The breakneck pace of Nightreign just feels very weird and at odds with what my brain tells me to do. Look at all these forts and castles and dungeons to clear out. Oh, nope, gotta sprint to maybe 2 or 3 of them, then run away. It's almost like muscle memory, that my instinct to explore and take in the sights and, you know, clear everything out is like a hindrance. It's not a problem with the game, it's just, again, I'm so used to Elden Ring and that's how I play Elden Ring. Performance-wise, it seems to be running okay for me, but I've seen other people saying it's running really badly for them, so I don't know what the general consensus is here, really. I've not experienced the weird stuttering that the base game has at times. And finally, if you care about the lore and the story stuff, it's light on that, frankly. You do have some here and there, like journals and personal quests, but it isn't something I've delved into, and I'm treating this more or less as a non-canon kind of game, in that I'm not going to look at something that they say in this game and then take it back to the main game and be like, oh, that explains that. It all makes sense. It's just not a story-heavy experience anyway. It's a slice of replayable Elden Ring, and once it's functioning properly with correct matchmaking, I can definitely give it a thumbs up. For now, it's a thumbs up if you have 2 friends to play with. Playing with randos is fun, but tough because there's no communication other than putting a pin on the map. They don't even have like preset voice commands to be like, over here, or run away, which would be nice. In normal Souls, that's okay, because you always know what the goal is, and sure, sometimes people waddle off, but this one, you kind of need a bit more communication. So playing with 2 friends is good. If you're buying it to play by yourself, either solo or with randoms, seems like there's no plans for microtransactions and battle passes, which is good. There are going to be updates, so we'll see how this game goes in the future with new characters and all that. For right now, they need to fix various aspects. For balance, I hope they buff the characters, but don't bring in nerfs, as that's no fun. Roguelikes are meant to be power fantasies, I think, and Elden Ring definitely is. How are you finding the game so far if you've been playing? Let me know down in the comments who's your favourite character, and why. If you say Reclussy, I will scream. But thanks so much for watching, and thanks to Bandai for providing a review code for this product. Until next time, ciao.